I was sitting in a quiet hotel lobby in Paris last spring, watching people pass by through the tall glass doors. Two women walked in, both around 65, both wearing simple black blazers. One looked like she had just stepped off the pages of a magazine. The other looked like she was arriving for a mid-level corporate audit. The blazers were nearly identical. Same dark color, same basic cut, probably similar price points. So, what was the difference? It wasn't the fabric, and it wasn't the designer label. It was a few invisible choices, the kind of subtle adjustments that cost nothing, but change everything about how a blazer wears you. Here's the truth. Most women over 60 who put on a blazer accidentally put on a layer of armor. They button it up tight, pull the collar straight, and treat it like a uniform. Most people don't realize this, but a blazer is not supposed to make you look sharper or more rigid. As we cross into our 60s, our relationship with clothing shifts. We no longer need to dress to prove we are powerful. We've earned that. We want to look settled, confident, and quietly prosperous. But when a blazer is worn like a shield, it ages you. It creates a stiffness that fights your natural grace instead of enhancing it. It becomes a cage rather than a compliment. Today, I am going to share 5 genius styling hacks that will instantly elevate your blazer from something ordinary to something that looks exceptionally rich. And the third one is the most important. It is the exact detail that separates a woman who looks expensive from a woman who simply spent a lot of money. The first shift to make is what I call the silk undercurrent. Why this matters comes down to the psychology of texture. True wealth is never loud. It is suggested through subtle contrast. When you wear a structured wool or tweed blazer against bare skin, or worse, against a stiff cotton t-shirt, it creates visual friction. It looks abrupt. But when you pair that same blazer with a fine silk, satin, or high-quality fluid camisole underneath, you create harmony. The hardness of the jacket is softened by the delicacy of the fabric beneath it. What this is, essentially, is a foundation of contrast. To apply it, choose a top with a slight sheen and let it peek out at the lapels. It should never be overt or flashy. It should look like a secret you are letting the world in on. Imagine this. You are sitting down for lunch with a friend. You reach across the table for your coffee, the blazer opens just slightly, and a wash of ivory silk catches the light. It looks effortless. It feels intentional. The mistake to avoid here is wearing a thick, ribbed cotton tee underneath a structured blazer. It bunches at the seams, it fights the drape of the jacket, and it instantly pulls the entire outfit down into the realm of the casual and the ordinary. But here's where it gets interesting. The second hack is all about the wrists, and I call it the calculated sleeve. There is a reason the wrist is such a focal point in classical art. It is one of the most delicate, elegant parts of the body, and exposing it creates a visual anchor that draws the eye. It also gives you a natural, graceful place to showcase a beautiful watch or a simple bracelet. What this means is simply pushing or tailoring your blazer sleeve to hit just above the wrist bone. To do this right, you can take the blazer to a tailor and have the sleeves permanently shortened, or you can simply push them up slightly so they rest naturally at the mid-forearm. They should never look forced, and they should never look scrunched. They should look like they just fell that way. Picture this. You are reaching into your handbag, your arm extends, and instead of a heavy sleeve swallowing your hand, there is a flash of skin, a glint of a gold cuff, a perfectly tailored edge. The movement itself looks expensive. The mistake to avoid is letting your sleeves hang past your knuckles. It swallows your hands, distorts your proportions, and makes it look like you borrowed someone else's clothing. It instantly adds years to your silhouette. This brings us to the third hack, and just as I promised, this is the most important one. I call it the unbuttoned stance. This is the exact detail that separates a woman who looks expensive from a woman who just spent a lot of money. Why does this matter so much? Because true wealth never looks restricted. When you button a blazer, especially across the midsection, it pulls the fabric taut. It makes the garment look like a uniform. It looks like you are trying to contain yourself. Leaving a blazer open creates a long, vertical drape that elongates the body and implies a relaxed, unhurried confidence. What this is the art of wearing your blazer completely unbuttoned, allowing the lapels to fall naturally against your chest. To apply this, when you put the blazer on, let it settle. Do not reach for the button. If you must close it for warmth, use only the middle button on a 3-button jacket and leave the rest to drape freely. Imagine walking into a room. The blazer moves with you, swinging slightly with your stride. It does not pull across your stomach or your hips. It flows. It commands the space without ever asking for permission. The mistake to avoid is fastening every single button, pulling the fabric tight across your chest or waist. It creates tension, and tension, no matter how much the jacket cost, is the absolute enemy of elegance. And this is where most people get it wrong. They focus entirely on the fit and the fabric, but they completely ignore the micro deals. That brings us to the 4th hack, the hardware distinction. The psychology here is simple. The fastest way to spot a cheap garment, or a garment that looks cheap, is by its buttons. Shiny, plastic buttons catch artificial light in a harsh, flat way. They immediately lower the perceived value of the entire piece, no matter how beautiful the surrounding wool is. What this entails is replacing the default buttons on your blazer with high-quality alternatives, mother of pearl, horn, or matte metal. To make this happen, simply take your blazer to a local tailor or a dry cleaner that offers alterations. For a dark blazer, choose dark horn or matte black. For a lighter blazer, choose a subtle mother of pearl. It costs almost nothing, perhaps $20 or $30, but the return is immense. Picture this. Someone is standing close to you, speaking with you at a dinner party. Their eyes naturally rest around your chest and collarbone area. Instead of seeing a glint of cheap, molded plastic, they see the deep, organic luster of a horn button. It registers subliminally. It signals quality. The mistake to avoid is leaving the original cheap buttons on. Even a $1,000 blazer can look like it came from a discount rack if the hardware is shiny and plastic. It is a tiny detail that shouts rather than whispers. Finally, the 5th hack is what I call the soft architecture. As our bodies change and soften over the years, rigid structures become less flattering, not more. A heavily padded shoulder can make you look like you are wearing armor, which ages you dramatically and creates a harshness that fights your natural features. What this means is choosing a blazer with a natural, unstructured shoulder that gently follows your own body line, rather than building a new one. When you are shopping, look for words like unlined, soft shoulder, or deconstructed. When you try it on, the seam should rest exactly at the point of your shoulder, never extending past it into the air. Imagine this. You turn around to greet a friend across the street, and the jacket moves with you. Softly, fluidly. There is no stiff fabric standing up around your neck, no rigid line fighting your natural posture. You look comfortable, and because you look comfortable, you look confident. And confidence, above all, always looks rich. The mistake to avoid is buying blazers with thick, built-up shoulder pads. It creates a boxy, outdated silhouette that hardens your entire appearance and makes the jacket wear you, instead of the other way around. Looking expensive in a blazer isn't about the label on the inside. It is about the texture beneath it, the way the sleeve falls, the ease of the drape, the quiet quality of the hardware, and the softness of the shoulder. When you make these subtle shifts, you stop wearing the blazer, and the blazer starts complimenting you. You will walk into any room feeling grounded, elegant, and entirely at home in your own skin. Which of these 5 hacks surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you are looking to elevate your style with more quiet, intentional choices, subscribe to the channel. We have so much more to explore together.